It'll stay as long as he could stay. Lou Bartel. Could I ask you a quick question? How many people do we need to be a quorum? 40? Yeah, that's not going to happen. And how many people do we need from each? 2 from the board, 1 from the...
Oh, shoot. I didn't even know we were doing that today.
Yeah. I think it was 2 and 1 and 3 and 1.
Let's see if I can find it.
You know what? I think she has a copy of the Constitution in the office. Hold on, let me see if I can dig it up. Actually, you know, let's just go look in the office. Let's just go find it.
Hi. 5, 6. Hi.
I guess I have to.
Huh? Eventually you will. You'll have to walk up. We don't have 40. We don't have 40. I called a bunch of people. They're going to try to come. I mean, they're getting 4 extra people coming. And I can get Jay down from upstairs, from the basement.
I can get 3 Samaritans.
We can call Jay to come up too.
Samantha doesn't.
Why? She doesn't count because she's...
No, kids don't count.
I'm too short.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, no. If we could ask you all to please take your seats. No, you can leave it on now. We just didn't want the whole world. If everyone could just find your seats, please, we would appreciate it. Thank you. One of the reasons we asked you to sit is we need a quorum of at least 40 to conduct business at this meeting, and right now we are 5 people short based on our current count. So my suggestion, with the permission of our esteemed Executive Vice President, is that we start with some of the other agenda items that don't require a vote, and then hopefully some of the people that we texted to come down will, so that we can take care of the Nominating Committee. Oh, we got another one. Okay. So it looks like we're going to trickle in, but why don't we get started?
I'm in charge of this one. Welcome. Welcome to the March Congregational meeting. Tonight, we're going to first start with our President report. Michael Shore.
Thank you very much, Debbie, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, those of you who are here. Let me just start by saying welcome. It's good to have you all back in person. I know there are still some folks who may be joining us via live streaming, but it's nice that close to a quorum, and I think we will get there. We'll be here tonight. Obviously, the first thing that I really would like to talk about is just to say how nice it's been to get back to synagogue. We really would like to see more of you, and I'm probably speaking more to the people on live stream than those people are here. But it's really been wonderful getting back. We've had special kiddushes. We've had wonderful Shabbat services. This past weekend, we had a fantastic Purim carnival for our kids that was very well attended, and our children's services are being extremely well attended. We would love to see more of you coming on Shabbat. There's plenty of room here in the sanctuary, and anyone whose comfort level is to still wear a mask, we're absolutely supportive of that, and so please come. I think you'll find getting back here to be a good and positive and warm experience. I do want to thank our clergy. I want to thank our professional staff and our lay leadership who, forgetting about the last 2 years, really over just the first part of this year, or first half of this year already, have really gone above and beyond what could be expected of anybody to start to get TBS back on its feet and back running normally. And so thank you all very much. I'm just going to give you a few updates on several things, and then you'll hear about most of them in more detail. Obviously, an important item that we'll talk about tonight is the progress of our rabbinical search. We have a wonderful committee led by 3 wonderful chairs, Sandy Berger, Rebecca Altman, and Carolyn Canova. All of them have been working very, very hard, and it has not been an easy process. They will tell you more about it, but it is an ongoing process and one that we're working very hard on. We're also planning, you should have seen some emails go out, should have seen some emails that went out over the past few days regarding some of the events that we are having in honor of Rabbi Lucas's retirement. One of them that's coming up in particular is March 24th, when we're having the author Dara Horn here for a conversation and interview and talk about some of the books that she's written. There also today went out a save the date and a soft response request for a Mets game with Rabbi Lucas in May. I think it's May 15th. Am I right about that? So please respond if you're so inclined. I'm a Yankees fan and I'm still going. And I promise I won't root against the Mets, Rabbi. Couple of other doings. This is actually our first congregational meeting since our new executive director, Eileen Borer, joined us. Hopefully, many of you have had an opportunity to meet and interact with Eileen. If you haven't already, stop by the office and say hello. I know that she'll probably say this in her executive director's report, that she'd love to meet you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Couple of other changes that you'll see in the office over the next couple of weeks. We have hired a new, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, I'm stealing Eileen's thunder, so I'm going to just stop here and just say Eileen is going to tell you about some of the exciting changes in the office. One of the other things I wanted to discuss was budget and finance. This is the time of year when we start to think about our finances for next year. And I'm sure that our financial officers will tell you that our finances for the last 2 years were buoyed by some government largesse in the forms of these PPP loans, as well as one in particular very substantial contribution that the synagogue received. Obviously, those sources of funding are not going to be available in the upcoming year. We don't have to beat around the bush about the fact that costs are going up all around us. We have been talking as an executive board, and I know that the financial officers are going to be meeting, but in advance, I just want everyone to know that there are going to have to be some significant changes to TBS's financial income, let's just say, in order to meet these expenses and to be able to continue to provide the level of services and top-notch clergy and staff and educators that we've all become accustomed to. And again, you'll be hearing more about that over the next weeks and months. We also, you may see in the next few days that there's going to be some work going on around the synagogue. We are starting to deploy some funds that we received for our security grants, which Eileen will tell you more about because apparently I'm stealing her thunder about that too. No, that's okay. I'm good. And in addition, there are some issues with some aspects of the physical plant that I'm sure Eileen is going to talk about more as well, that we're in the process of addressing and need to address. Tonight we also have to begin the process of planning our board and officers for next year, and we will be doing our nominating committee as soon as our 40th person walks in. But with that, I would like to wish you, tomorrow night is Purim. So I just would like to wish you all a Chag Sameach. Services tomorrow night are 7 o'clock. We're going to have back to our regular Megillah reading, costume parades, and all that kind of good stuff. And I believe that there is a Purim lot tomorrow, starting, is it 4:30, Rabbi? 4 or 4:30? 4? It's at 4 o'clock tomorrow, so bring your kiddies. But hopefully we'll see a lot of you in synagogue tomorrow night, and this will be our first full action Purim since the beginning of the pandemic, which was our last full action Purim. So hopefully you'll all join us. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next up, we have our Executive Director's Report, Eileen Borer.
We already heard it.
No, you didn't.
Basically.
No.
Is there anybody who can't hear me without a...
What?
Oh, okay. You know what, can I remove it? Okay. Truth is, I would be much happier not having to do this, but in as much as I was asked. For anybody who I have not met as yet, can I hold this down here? Who I've not met as yet, I am looking forward to meeting you, and I do hope that you will stop by the office. I was asked to do a little intro For those of you who heard me on the intro to the executive director or at some other meeting, I apologize for you're hearing the spiel once again. So they asked me to tell you a little bit about my checkered past. So I'm born and raised in Brooklyn to two Holocaust survivors. I met my husband, who was a pediatric surgeon and now teaches surgery and anatomy on what was the QJ line back many years ago in Brooklyn, and it took. We have two sons who both live in LA, along with the icing on my cake, my two grandchildren. I was a teacher for many years, up until 25 years ago, when I gave up cutting and pasting and went to work at UJA Federation. I stayed there for 5 years and was then brought to, literally brought to Old Westbury Hebrew Congregation as their first executive director. I spent the same amount of time there, and then spent the last 14 and a half years at the Schechter School of Long Island, which is where I met people such as Michael Shore and Morty Shire, who blessedly, just Erev Thanksgiving, called me while I was in LA and asked me, I had already made the decision that I was leaving Schechter, and they asked me if I would have any interest in coming to TBS. I was delighted and feel privileged and hope that a year from now, when we do this again, that everybody will feel that it was a good shidduch. Anyway, to talk about those things that I gave Michael the hairy eyeball. So the first thing is the Homeland Security grant. I can move over this way, 100%. I just didn't want to like my tuchus. Oh, I'm sorry. So the synagogue has been very fortunate in that it received, with the help of leadership and your Donna Bartolomeo, 3 Homeland Security grants, and they total $230,000. The first one that we've been given access to is a $50,000 grant. Part of that grant is going towards fencing for around the ECC playground, which was supposed to have actually begun Monday, but the owner of the company is ill. I guess he was going to participate in the installation, and it's been put off till Friday. But it will be 8 feet tall, and it will be such that nobody can see through it, and the children will be appropriately protected from any kind of eyes. The next thing that will be going in is a door, what we call the Caterers Entrance. And as long as that's kept locked, it will provide a certain amount of security. Homeland Security grants, by the way, are all about target hardening. For anybody who does not know, they do not cover personnel. It's really about instruments and making sure that the building operates as quickly, as safely as it can. So the next project after those two will be access control. I think I may even have... Okay, so staff here come in, and some of our leadership have a card as well. This will be updated. There will be new mechanisms on the door, and initially these will be provided to faculty, staff, leadership, after which we would like to provide these to all congregants. What it will mean on your part is coming in, allowing us to take a picture of you so that the card can then be processed. But then it will be an easier way for you to come in and visit. You won't have to be buzzed in or know a code. You'll just have to put your card against the device on the door. So that's Homeland Security. The other projects that will be going on in the building, we just today contracted to have some boiler replacement done, and there will be roof work done as well. I just want to say, for me, I'm here, more than a third of the day, pretty much approaching half of the day. The synagogue becomes an extension of my home, and I feel that it's appropriate to treat it and to take care of it the same way I would my home. And that's both kind of structural and cosmetic. And so I hope that you see that things are starting to look better and certainly function better as time goes on. With regard to staffing, so we've hired a new administrative coordinator, I think is the term we're going to be using for her. She will spend part of her time being an assistant to the rabbi. She will help with events, and fundraising and a host of other functions. She comes to us actually as one of the few people who has facility with the new accounting program of SchulCloud, and she'll be starting the first Monday in April, and I really look forward to having that assistance. It'll take away some of the burden from Barbara, who had absorbed, for those of you who remember, Dawn, to me it's just a name, who they took part of her responsibilities along with Donna's when she left. The other person that was promoted recently, for those of you who know Adrian, who's part of the maintenance team, he was promoted to the lead maintenance person, and we will be looking for one more person on that team to assist as we get busier. Our guys are putting in far more than 40 hours each week, so we need to supplement that team. And then, unfortunately, Kathy Rogers, who had been doing accounting, bookkeeping for the last 6 years, has chosen to move on, and we are looking to replace someone for that position. If you should know anyone, have any recommendations, please be sure to speak to me or to Alan Goldstein. We could always use some help in finding the appropriate people for the job. I think there's only one more thing I had other topics, but I just want to mention something about the tone and culture. I was very specific in coming here as opposed to the other organizations that I was looking at. We had a conversation last night about volunteerism, and when I look around this room, I know that I'm preaching to the converted. So this is kind of like, it's not empty chatter, but maybe with this group it'll reinforce what you already know. I volunteered for my synagogue, for my kids' school my whole life. I saw how it benefited them and how it now benefits my grandchildren as they model that same behavior. I know that they were distributing Purim packages, and so I reached out to Elaine Ben-Levy because there was nobody covering Great Neck. I live in Great Neck, and I said, can I do this? Both as the child of a Holocaust survivor and just because I know that whatever you put in, you get so much more back. And so if you're already doing it, if you're already volunteering, then just please reach out to one other person and tell them how good it feels, how it's a reflection of this community to participate in outreach and chesed. I just cannot tell you what it meant to speak to the 7 Holocaust survivors that I spent maybe 15 minutes with and who called me. First of all, they wanted to tip me, which was hysterical. Then they wanted to cut me a check, and then they said, you'll come for lunch in the summertime when I can sit outside comfortably. It's beyond discrimination. So I hope, if you're doing it, that you'll just think to reach out to somebody who's new to TBS and drag them along in whatever it is you're participating in. I think it's an invaluable experience and will be a tremendous benefit to the synagogue. So thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Oh, does anybody have a question for Eileen? Okay, thank you. Where's that one?
Go backwards.
Go right there? All right, so now it's an opportunity for us to talk about the nominating committee. It's a very important committee that helps us establish the leadership for the next year. We need to get 3 members from the Board of Trustees to be on the committee and 3 members from the general congregation. 4.
4 from the 3. Right. We need 3 members from the Board of Trustees, one of whom will serve as an alternate, and we need 3 from the congregation at large, meaning you are not on the Board of Trustees, and 1 alternate. You should know that if you volunteer, obviously, to be on the nominating committee, you are not eligible to, as a congregation member, you can't nominate yourself to be a board member. Or your spouse.
Board member also. Any board member up for re-election also can't serve on the nominating.
Correct. So let's start with the Board of Trustees.
Oh, but on a side issue, I want you to know that I served on the nominating committee for a few years. It is a lot of fun. It is very interesting to see how things work, and it's really not a large time commitment. So if you haven't tried it, I really recommend giving it a shot.
And you don't get to leave until we do it, so let's just do it. We're going to lock the doors. You don't know that. Eileen didn't mention that security thing.
3 and 1 from the membership,
2 and 1 from the board. So why don't we start with the board? Do we have any nominations for anyone from the board? There is. Faster we...
We could put,
Okay.
So nominated.
Lamore.
How many people here are on the board without me having to... Okay. Put down Lamore. Thank you. Who? Yeah, she's sitting right there. Who else is on the board that
Betsy?
Betsy, are you up for re-election?
I don't think so, but I don't know for sure.
Hold on, let me just look.
How would you know?
I have to look on the board list, which I think I might have it in my Google Drive. That would be,
Michael, you up for reelection? Oh, good.
don't worry, well,
We'll get you something else.
okay, fine, yeah, start making that list too, if we can get it. By the way, in case you can't tell, this is always my favorite meeting of the year. I love this one. This is always so easy to get the nominating committee together.
Nadine. Nadine Keston, you want to do it again? We had fun.
The only one I thought was fun.
I know, that's how I got to meet Nadine.
Anybody else?
We need one more from the Board of Trustees.
2 more from the Board of Trustees.
No, we need 2 plus 1 alternate.
Well, you have to have a minimum of,
One person up there.
Oh, you have Betsy, and you have,
You put Betsy
I don't have the book. It's in the office. Is Eileen here? I'll go get it. It's the top book on that pile. We'll double check. Put Betsy down in the meantime, just,
because she's a
Okay.
good sport.
thanks, Betsy. Who else is a board member here that can do this? Okay, put Boa. Okay, I just have to make sure you're not up. Are you up for re-election, Boaz? No? Okay, put Boaz.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, how about from the congregation?
Billy, are you up for reelection? Are you up for reelection?
Where is he?
Billy's back there.
Well, you can nominate
Yes,
more
'cause-
than that, but how about, let's focus on, how about congregants who are here, who can do this? How
Jeff?
about David Levine or Barbara?
Barbara?
This is really like 3 meetings. It's not a big deal. Okay, well, like I said,
Jeff Horowitz? They're usually
they occur when they occur, either Sunday morning or Tuesday, the
usually
committee gets
Sunday
together.
morning. They'll work around your
Okay.
work schedule usually.
Okay, hold on one second. Betsy,
Paul, what about you? Want to do it? Jeff Horowitz. Thank you, Jeff.
thank you.
Marilyn, you want to do it?
Betsy,
Marilyn Jakes. She'll do it. Thank you.
Betsy, you're good. You're fine. You have 4 on the congregation list? Jacques, like Jacq. Just put Marilyn, yeah, that's fine. Come on, we need one more. I really don't like being made into a beggar. This isn't really fair.
We need one more. I thought we. did we have
It's real, this really is not a lot to ask people.
Right back there.
Oh, good,
Thank
great.
you.
Beatrice Carton. Okay, terrific. Thank you. All right. So what we have to do now is, since we have the minimum number, all you need to do is, we're going to pass out a paper with a pen. Just write on it, one from each column, who you're picking as the alternate. Okay? That's all we need to know. So write, everyone got it? One from each column. It's like Chinese menu. Rabbi, you get to vote. I do? Yes, you're a member of the congregation. You get, you. Not Patrice, it's Beatrice. Okay, guys, let's hand out the cards. Let's not make this more complicated than it is. Everyone should hand back a card with 2 names on it. Okay, one from each column. That's the person you're selecting to be the alternate. From the board, we have Lamore, Mann, Betsy Landsman, and Boaz Ben Moshe. And from the congregation, we have Jeff Horwitz, Marilyn, Jacques, Beatrice Carton, and Michael Margulies. Okay? So just pick, you can go by first names, we don't have any repeats, just write one name from each column, which one you're selecting as the alternate. The other 2, the person getting the most alternate votes will be the alternate. Yeah, guys, look, everybody, could you please listen to me? This is really like, I'm sorry if I'm expressing frustration, but I'm going to express frustration, okay? This is the simplest, easiest thing. All you need to do is write down 2 names. Nobody's going to take you out in the parking lot and beat you up because you wrote their name down. I promise you we will keep it anonymous. I'm begging you to please write the 2 names down, hand in your cards, and let's be done with this. It's a waste of everyone's time. Thank you.
Listen, we have to be happy we've actually got this done faster than we usually do.
I don't want to vote.
You don't have to vote. This is good, Michael. We got 40 people to come. That's good too. Great, that's so skinny.
Thank you. That's your pen. Your pen. No, I want to put the name down. I wasn't looking to see it. I just wanted to put the name down. So I'm not broadcasting. Oh, wait. How we start the count? Anybody else?
Okay, we just need 2 minutes of your time to tally up here, and then we can move on.
You're all good? Okay. Okay, so while they're tallying the votes, why don't we just go out of order? Ellen, would you like to talk to everybody about the Rabbi Lucas retirement celebration? Okay, Ellen Walk, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn Canova.
Okay, can you? Okay, I don't think, okay. Forgive the old-fashioned handwritten notes. Our internet was out. The trucks were on Roslyn Road for about 3 hours this afternoon. Okay, so good evening. It's great to see everybody here tonight, and it's wonderful to see all of you who I can't even see. Carolyn and I have had the honor of being the co-chairs for a series of farewell events for Rabbi Lucas. And last May, when we first met with him, we had high hopes for this year and the fact that what it would look like, and that was before Delta and Omicron descended upon us. But right now, say that with me, I can't help but think of the Israelites and the Red Sea, the parting of the Red Sea, as I feel maybe the pandemic is parting. I wish it was departing, to let us gather in person, to honor and celebrate our rabbi, to pay tribute to him, and to show gratitude and love, to say thank you for all he has given to us for the last 28 years, and to show what he means to our community. A lot of thought has gone into planning these events because we want to do it right and we want you to participate. And we want to make these events really special for everybody in the congregation and most of all for our rabbi. So, your punim and mine, your family and the TBS family together, b'yachad, that's really been our theme. And that's the theme of each event. Whether it's a scholarly event, a baseball game, a barbecue, or a kiddush luncheon, or a grand farewell. All these events are on the website. They're in constant contacts. You'll be seeing posters now that people are coming into the building again. What I want to say is come to one or come to all of them. Bring your families, your grown kids, your grandkids, and let's make this a really special send-off for our rabbi. It started with the Caterers concert last week, a fantastic event. Next week, as Michael was trying to steal my thunder too, Dara Horn will be coming to this sanctuary on the 24th of March. She's an award-winning author. She's written several books, and she'll be in conversation with Rabbi Lucas, like in a 92nd Street Y format, discussing her books, particularly the most recent one, People Love Dead Jews, and which addresses modern anti-Semitism. A big thank you to Sisterhood for their generous donation in honor of Rabbi Lucas, and also for founding the Alan B. Lucas Lecture Series. I can ask you, please don't wait for the last minute on every single event to sign up. It's part of our TBS culture. Eileen, I have to tell you that. For Shabbat 1000, the very last week, 100 people signed up. I'm not going to complain. We had 750 people there, but still 100 people the last week. The good news is that when we sent out the email today about the baseball game, I don't like telling you this, Michael, you were the first one to sign up. He was the first one. And I was amazed because it came in like 2 seconds after the email went out. But since then, I would say in the first 2 hours, we got a request for 60 tickets, which is fantastic. That's the intention. We asked for your intention. We didn't ask for a check or anything, but I like that in the spirit of not waiting for the last minute. So the other events that we're planning so that's a baseball game on May 15th. It's at Citi Field. They're playing the Seattle, I'm not going to say Sea Dogs, I know, Mariners. We root for the St. Louis Cardinals, so I get mixed up. But I hope you'll be able to come with us, and you can bring anybody from your family, your friends, and grandkids, grown kids, and if you're a kid. The last set of events is the farewell weekend. That's June 10th, 11th, and 12th, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday night, we're having a barbecue We hope it'll be as good as it was last year when we had 300 people in our parking lot. On the 11th, we're calling it Lahit Ra'od Shabbat, followed by a L'chaim Kiddush. We hope that you'll come to that. And also a grand farewell celebration. Now, you remember, our rabbi does not like to dance, so this is not a dinner dance. We have to do what a retiring rabbi requests, but it will be a cocktail hour followed by a tribute here in the sanctuary, and then a buffet dinner. We will sneak in a little music, hopefully to do a horror or two, but nothing extreme. The invitation is going out April 1st. I hope you'll be able to join us for one or all of those events. And finally, people keep saying they want to help. So the question is, how can you help? You can really help us by, just like what Eileen said, by reaching out to somebody, by a few somebodies, and encourage them to come. Because even though this information is available on the website, if people don't look at the website, they don't know about it. And talk about it, invite people to come sit with you, to go with you, and to RSVP. So the very last thing that I'm going to say before I turn it over to Carolyn is thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you at as many events as we can. Play ball, and thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you, Ellen, and thanks, everyone. I want to particularly thank Ellen, who has been really shouldering the burden of the committee as I've been tied up elsewhere and a lot of times, but we speak probably daily, if not more. I did want to mention from a deadline perspective, one of the projects that are related to the farewell weekend, and that's the scrapbook. One of the things that we had talked about was that Rabbi Lucas gave us so many wonderful memories, and we'd like to be able to give him memories to take away with him and his family when he leaves us. So we thought about the scrapbook, doing a virtual scrapbook and actually presenting him with a physical one. And so you've seen the emails go out, and it's on the website. The deadline has been extended through March 31. Again, let's try not to wait until the very last day. In my house, I will tell you that I have not yet submitted mine. I've tasked my wonderful husband, John, with going through a lot of our pictures. And just to remind everyone that the pictures don't have to have Rabbi Lucas in all of them. These are his memories of us. And so if it's a lovely picture of your whole family at a particular event, at a Purim carnival, whatever it is, this is for him to take as our gift to him. So think about that as you go through. I think that's it for us.
It doesn't have to be a TBS event. It can be, it can be anywhere. I mean, it can be you on your front step with your family. Just making you can put a caption just identifying who you are. And also you have the opportunity to send a message. So if you'd like to send a message, we said 100 words. Carolyn is going to be doing the counting because she's the accountant. I'm not counting, but just a brief message.
Elaine is here.
Elaine, where? No.
I thought I heard. No.
Is Elaine here? No. So the scrapbook is being co-chaired by Susan Zellman and Elaine Ben-Levy, two talents and wonderful people. So send us your pictures. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Carolyn. Does anybody have any questions for them?
I have a question. Stand up. How many are we at the moment? What's our number? 2. Are we up to 40?
Yes, we're over 40.
We were over 40, that's why we did the nominating committee. Thank you.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the Treasurer's Report, Alan Goldstein.
Still see, I have to spend another year here. Where do you want me to stand? Or? Okay, I'll flip that one. Little theater for you. I've got handwritten notes also. I guess we're of that certain age, Ellen. Okay, Let me first start. Michael talked a little bit about finances and things like that. I'm going to get a little bit deeper into the numbers. This past Saturday, he thanked the clergy and the staff for keeping the place going. I'd like to thank all of you. In our sitter on page 148, we used to say these prayers, but when we shortened it, we now just sort of go past them and go right to the next page with prayer for Israel. So there's a prayer for the congregation and a prayer for those who serve the community. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because the line says here, these following two passages are recited only on Shabbat. So if I summarize it, maybe I'm okay that way, right, Rabbi? It's fine, okay, thank you.
If the lightning bolt doesn't come down.
I'm gonna. Okay, so basically it says, bless the entire congregation and those who give funds. I left a little bit out in the middle. Those who give funds for heat and light and wine for Kiddush and Havdalah, bread to the wayfarer and charity to the poor, and all those who devoutedly involve themselves with the needs of the community. There's a little bit more there, but you sort of get the idea. So to present where we are, we really have to smash all the finances over the last couple of years because of the way some of the money came in. Some came in earlier than we expected, some came in later than expected. But say, for instance, Michael mentioned that we got some government money. So we got 2 PPP loans from the SBA, Small Business Administration. Those were both forgiven, and the total amount of the 2 were $984,000. We got those in 2 tranches, just under $500,000 each year. And the reason I'm saying we have to smash it together is because we budgeted one year, we actually got the money the previous year. So we thought the government was going to take months to approve our loans, and we couldn't include it in income until the loans were actually forgiven, whereas they actually took only a couple of weeks. In fact, one loan, we got the answer back that it was forgiven within a week. So that's pretty good news. The coronavirus donations that we got from the membership totaled $1,144,000 over the couple of years. Kol Nidri this year, we actually made more in this Kol Nidri appeal than I think we ever have in the past. We've collected $158,000, much better than last year, which was $93,000. Typically, we collect around $115,000 to $120,000 for Kol Nidri. Let's see. This past summer for camp starts our budget season. Since we are on a July 1st through June 30th, so we're almost done with the fiscal year. So last year camp, we basically a net contribution of $260,000 compared to, we originally thought we'd only collect $100,000. So, and the year before, the first year of the pandemic, we actually had a shortfall of $117,000. So we're hoping that camp this coming summer will come in at least $260,000, but we've got to go, we're probably going to do busing again and a food program. So that's why a few years ago we used to make about $400,000 in camp. So we're still short, but we're hoping we're going to get close to at least $300,000, $325,000. There is some bad news here. Let me still stay on the good news. Joshua Society, we're up to $326,000 of members in there. I think that's just, that's a little bit better than budget, or right around the budget, so we're good there. The bad news is on fair share. We're down to, let me see the number of members. We have about 559 full members. 4 years ago it was 608, so we've lost that many members. We have 34 associates, so the total right now is 593 members, so we're just under 600 members. A lot of people still walk around with the head that in their head that we used to have 1,000 members. I don't know if we had 1,000, maybe that was 30 years ago, and we never really took members off the rolls, but we certainly were in the 700 to 800 range. So now we're under 600, 559 full members. And of that number, the 559, only about 330 pay full fair share. So that's what Michael was saying is the issue going forward. Now, speaking of full fair share, when I was on a board meeting the other day, on the back of an envelope, I sort of said, well, how much does the membership really cost? What would be a real number for membership? And really, it's $4,800 for each full member. So that's without any fundraising, without anything. And the way I get that is our expense base is just around $3.7 million. We get income from the ECC, from the religious school, from summer camp, and the caterer. Caterer is now paying about $50,000. It should be $100,000. His business is still suffering. So that nets to $2,687,000 divided by 559 members. It equals $4,807. The full fair share is $2,695. So you can see that we have to raise money elsewhere, even to come up to that number. That's the one thing. I mentioned what the expense base is, $3,672,000. It's been around that number, within $100,000 for a number of years here. In 2019, when that was back to a normal year, our budget was our actuals were $3,591,000. So we're right around that number still, expense-wise. I mean, we always look to nip and tuck, but we're running. It's a very big facility. We have all the schools, and so the demands are there and the expenses are there. Let me see, what else did I have? So fair share, we're approximately a couple of $100,000 under budget. We've collected, I think, so far $925,000. The budget was $1.2 million. We've been making phone calls with people, to people, and even people that have given, we're asking for a little bit more. So all in all, the revenue side, we show a shortfall of probably close to $500,000. Next year, I never like to be the sky is falling kind of guy, but we're not going to have the $500,000 from the government. We are expecting maybe another $150,000 from the government. I asked for credits, and you can get earned credits for paying people to work, but the IRS is still processing last year's tax return, so who knows when we'll get that, if we'll get that. On the income side, like I said, we show a shortfall, 300 or so in fair share. Fundraising, we haven't really done any fundraising this year. We had a budget of $125,000. I'm not exactly sure why, but so far the actuals show negative $2,200. So maybe I gave a refund to somebody, I don't know. Let me see. One of the other good things is over the last couple of years, the TBS Foundation gave us money, and they gave it early. They've given us about $200,000. We had budgeted a lot of money, about $175,000, so they gave us even more than that. I think that's about all I have on my handwritten notes. We're doing well in the ECC. We didn't do so well last year, but that's now turned around. We're back to being positive, and we're hoping for better news for next year. Religious school, that was a tough one for us because the kids weren't here, but not all the kids were here, but we were really running like two religious schools, one in person and one online. So we didn't lose, we had the teachers, we still had all the expenses. Some people stopped paying for religious school because they said, my kid's not going. So we hope that that'll come back next year. It's come back most of the way this year, and we're hoping that it comes back next year. Let me stop here and ask if anybody has any questions or comments. Anything I left out, Michael?
No.
Anybody else want to add to the bad news there?
Well, I just, you have a question, Alan?
Oops, sorry.
How many children are enrolled in the Hebrew school, the total? And what was it like 5 years ago?
240.
Probably around 220, 230, somewhere around there.
I just want to take the liberty of just adding one or two things, not that anything that Alan forgot. However, next year, as part of our budgeting, there are, as Alan pointed out, we're running a very big facility here. And there are a number of capital items that have been deferred for a very long time, and they cannot be deferred any longer. One of them is that we're going to have to replace the air conditioning unit that serves this room. Sandy Berger has been working with engineers to come up with a plan, and we're getting pretty close to having something, but that's going to be a multiple six-figure expenditure. You're probably looking at something that's going to be between $300,000 and $400,000. The unit that's here, believe it or not, is basically original to the building. So we've gotten our life out of it. The roof over the camp office area needs to be replaced. That's going to be a capital item that's probably going to be in the vicinity of $50,000. That has to be done. It leaks. And there are a number of other capital items around. There's some work that we need to do at some of the homes that the synagogue owns. So again, not to, I don't want to, say there's like a black cloud, but there is a financial hole that has to be solved for. Because what Alan was saying to you about the sustaining amount really being $4,800 a member, if you really apply that over the 350 odd members who are paying full dues right now, or at least the suggested minimum fair share, right? The sustaining amount is much closer to like $7,000 a member for each of them. And that's without these major capital items. So, we're working on it and we're doing the best we can, but we are going to ultimately have to solve the revenue question. Yeah. Thanks, Alan.
Okay, let's move on to the Vice President's report. Religious Affairs, Sandy?
Okay, so first off, I've been on the Religious Affairs Committee for about 20 years, and it's been an honor and a pleasure. If anybody would like to take my position, please come right ahead. Any nominations? So the last couple of years, the Religious Affairs has been all about the definition of what a minyan is, and whether it's 10 or whether it's 6 or whether it's on Zoom or whether it's on live stream. So as we are demasking, right before the holiday where you have to put a mask on, is that it, right? The Purim to Purim pandemic. We are getting back to services. So as of tonight, we are requiring minions, full minions in person, which is very important. We know that there's still a section of the congregation that wants to stay online. So we are sort of once again bending the rules of conservative Judaism. So, but when it comes to reading the Torah and certain prayers, we are going to require a minyan in-house, which has been a big change for us, and happy to get back there. We do need people. If you can commit to one of the 10 services a week, we would really appreciate your participation because it's very important. We did have a spectacular Shushan service this past weekend, and I'm still singing the El Adon, which I want to say was a fantastic thing. So we're here. If there are any questions about services, we're in person, we're live, we're Memorex, whatever it is, please ask away. Yes, please.
So evening meetings are now going to be live again in person?
So evening meetings are now live, yes, 7:30. So our morning services are at 7, and our evening services are at 7:30.
What's the deal with the organ or the piano?
Can we be a little more specific? It's located over there.
I know where.
Yeah.
It's right where I said.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the question?
First of all, it wasn't supposed to be till after the Torah service. It is definitely earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be less Shabbat than it seems. It seems to be there almost every weekend.
Okay, so I've asked the question before about this. So the piano has been used to supplement the cantor in his, because there are 14 or 15 people here. So he's been using to help him. We know that it's really supposed to start right after the Torah service. We will revisit that issue. As for the number of weekends, I don't believe we've exceeded the weekends, but because of the look on your face, I'll assume that I need to check on that. I could do that. It's been a sort of a modulating participation thing, but I'll bring it up with the cantor after. You're welcome. Is that political enough? Okay.
Andy, could I say something?
Yeah, sure.
So I would like to, as I said in my president's report, make a pitch for you, for those of you, and again, I don't mean this to be critical, but I'm looking on YouTube right now and watching the live stream, and there are more people on the live stream than there are here, okay? And at this point, I'm really going to make a pitch to all of you. Obviously, I don't need to make it if you're here, but to those of you who are online. The purpose of the live stream and the Zoom, and I guess Rabbi walked out, was that it was available during a time of an emergency. And it's extremely important for everybody who's involved in our community to be able to feel a sense of community. And we understand completely if you're ill or if your particular considerations are such that you can't come. And that's why we turned on the live stream for tonight. But I would implore those of you who are really search your soul. If you're using it as a convenience, it's really time to stop doing that. We need to have you back here. We need to have you back here for meetings. We need to have you back here for services. It's important to the community. It's important to the Ruach. And it's important to us being able to move on, God willing, from the shadow of COVID into a better future. And it's, if at some point, there are going to be changes to the availability of the online services if things continue to be positive. We have no intention of turning off the live stream. We had a live stream in one form or another in the main sanctuary on Shabbat and holidays for years prior to COVID. But we had robust numbers of people also here. So please, I understand that everybody got out of certain routines during COVID, and we're asking you to please try to get back into your pre-COVID routine if you can. Again, health considerations aside, but if you can, it would really be great to see more of you here over the coming weeks and months. Thank you.
Oh, were there any last questions? I did want to say that during Shabbat services, we started opening the Ark, and we actually marched the Torah around. So we're starting to really, we're allowing the clergy to finally come off the bema. So, finally. Questions? Okay. Different hat now?
Go ahead.
You want to do the rabbinical search? You want to give that update?
Thank you.
So we're going to do the rabbinical search update. So I wanted to, first off, thank Carolyn, thank Rebecca. Where are you, Rebecca? And the committee. This has been quite a journey here for the last 18 months. So I'd sort of to bring you up to speed. As a synagogue, we started the process a year ago. We paused the process and we came back into the rabbinical search process. This year, we had many candidates, about 9 candidates. 3 of them made it to the temple. A Rabbi Dorsch, who ultimately took a position at the Merrick Jewish Center, a Rabbi Abelson, who took a position in a not-for-profit organization supporting Israel, and most recently Rabbi Sachs. And as a committee, we did not want to further his application, and I'm not sure whether he stayed in Toronto or not. Shortly after Rabbi Sachs's application, Rebecca, Carolyn, and I went back to the Rabbinical Association, the RA, as well as that 4-letter UCJS thing, right? SCJ thing. I don't get it. And we expressed our concern and our sort of frustration with the process of the rabbinical candidates that were made available to us. I won't go into all the details, but in that particular conversation, we were introduced to another candidate. So the position that the temple is in right now is searching for a candidate or taking the possibility of an interim rabbi. As you know, we have a rabbi here with us. So, as I like to refer to her, are you ready guys for this? She's our Kara Da'atra.
That's good.
Okay, good. Okay. So we have sort of 2 paths to go on, and when we were talking to the RA and the other organization, we talked about the possibility of going to putting the interim tag on our application. And in that conversation, they introduced us to another rabbi who was late to the process. So in the last couple of weeks, the committee, the full committee, as well as some other members, have engaged in conversations with a Rabbi Eitan Hammerman, who is currently on a sabbatical from the Harrison Jewish Center. And we are in the process of doing our due diligence on this application and meeting with him. We have him tentatively scheduled for a weekend coming up. And we're in the process of exploring this option with him. We are looking at really every sort of iteration of what it would be to lead the congregation in the years to come. So right now we have 1 live candidate, and we are doing our job as a committee to sort of make sure we've dotted all the I's and crossed the T's with that. So if you have any questions about where we are, I'm happy to answer, except Irving. Yes, Irving. Yes, go ahead.
We have a reduced membership. Are we looking for rabbis in terms of with our reduced membership as well? Because that certain number of
So we're still, quote unquote, what's called a C-size synagogue, right? There are certain categories of the rabbis, and they have salary, categories as well as size categories. This particular rabbi is a rabbi of a 300 family member shul. He knows that we're a 600 family member shul. But we're in that particular category. We've been classified as that. And salary range as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You got to have more questions, people, right?
Cantor.
Yes. Oh, Cantor. No, but if...
Do you want the answer to that question? Because it might apply to Cantors too.
Yeah, thank you for being faster than I was.
Let's skip that one.
Michael was faster than I was on that response. Yes, exactly. So, I'm here, waiting. You guys have to have more questions. You guys ask me more questions on Shabbos when I'm sitting over there in the corner. Yes?
If this rabbinical candidate does not meet our qualifications or finds another place, where are we then?
Well, we have a few options. One is we make Kara the full-time rabbi, and she gets paid a lot more money. But I don't think I discussed that with her yet. No, we would probably go to an interim rabbi situation where we would bring a rabbi in on certain weekends to alleviate the amount of services. And there are a lot of rabbis out there, and we would look to sort of take us through this next year and then jump back into the process for a third year with a different committee. I want to be clear about that. Yeah.
Just also, Sandy, I don't want to talk over your shoulder. Did everyone see the email that the committee chair sent out? I mean, one of the things that, just to point out, that we're sort of up against, you all should understand, this job is an extremely desirable job, okay? The issue is that, much like Rabbi Lucas, many other rabbis who were planning to retire during the pandemic delayed their retirement. This year, there were about 80-plus positions open nationwide looking for senior rabbis. There were about 30 candidates. So it's not an issue of people weren't interested in our position. We actually got quite a number of resumes. They just weren't the resumes that we wanted to get. So it was an extremely competitive year. So I just don't want anyone to walk away from this, number one, thinking that anything other than an unbelievable effort was given by the people on our rabbinical search committee. Whether their job was to vet candidates and to run a process. And it's not any less of a success to admit that the right person didn't come along, because the goal ultimately isn't to just find a rabbi, it's to find the right rabbi. And so I would just say that they've done an incredible job, even if it doesn't necessarily result in us finding our ultimate solution this year. Yes?
Does the committee know why this rabbi left after 4 years with an impact, and why he wants to leave it after 8 years in Harrison?
Well, again, the committee's going to do their due diligence, but it's a natural progression for a rabbi, okay? In Mayapack, I think there were 150-odd rabbi synagogue, 150-member synagogue that he came to directly from rabbinical school. He stayed there for 4 years. It was an entry-level job. He moved up. He's been 8 years in Harrison at a 300-member job. It's kind of the natural progression that he would move up now to a larger congregation such as TBS. So you should understand, and by the way, virtually every rabbinical candidate who I spoke to and had the benefit of hearing from said that one of the things that's very attractive to them about TBS is that we've only had 3 rabbis in our entire history. That's exceedingly rare, right? We've been spoiled, right? We've been spoiled to have Rabbi Lucas for 28 years. It's an outlier. It's really not extraordinary at all for a rabbi to be looking to move positions after 7 or 8 years. That's actually a fairly good run with a synagogue of that size. Okay, does that answer the question? Thank you.
Any other questions? No, we're good?
Great.
Thanks, Sanford.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other committees you'd like me to discuss?
Kiddush.
Okay,
Good.
Next up, education. Carrie Gordon, thank you.
I'm going to repeat what everyone so far has said, but the last 2 years have certainly been a challenge. 2 years ago at this time, we were shutting down our schools and figuring out how to educate our students on Zoom. Hopefully that's all behind us, and there is much goodness to report. Our nursery school children recently celebrated their 100th day of school in person and gave thanks to the wonderful and dedicated staff. Jen Schiffer and her team have done a fabulous job of navigating the ups and downs of the past year. This week, of course, we are celebrating Purim throughout the building. On Thursday, at drop-off, there will be a costume parade for the parents, which is another signal that things are returning to normal, because the parents really haven't been able, they're still not coming in the building, they're going to parade outside, but it's something the parents haven't been able to gather together, so it's nice that we're able to. The beginning of March also saw the opening of a 7th classroom for pre-2s. I'm really pleased to report that registration for next year is the best it has been in many years. We already have 60 children signed up, and we anticipate having to close some of our classes. So if you know anyone that's thinking about it, they should do so now. Kim Weinberg, our incoming ECC director, has been spending time in the building during the week and on Shabbat, and will be holding meet and greet opportunities for the parents this week and next. Over in our religious school, our hallways have been busy with activity as well. We are very excited to bring back our Purim Carnival this past Sunday, and our families were very happy to be there. This past Shabbat, we had a Mishpacha Minyan with over 150 students and parents in attendance. It was truly a pleasure to watch our sixth grade students, some of our sixth grade students, read Torah for the first time and participate in this festive service. We will be starting to hold our grade level end-of-year services in the next few weeks as well, to highlight some of the prayers that we have learned, that the students have learned this year. A huge shout out to Sharon Solomon and Sylvia Kogan and their staff for continuing to deliver an amazing Jewish education to our children. And lastly, to our teens, we have continued to engage and educate our high school students in numerous ways, bringing in speakers on subjects ranging from the Holocaust and anti-Semitism to more modern takes on like self-esteem programs in our J-Teen program. Our teens are learning about Tikkun Olam by serving in our Madrichim program and preparing and delivering packages to our homebound population. I look forward to finishing off this school year on a high note with all of our children joining in celebrations honoring Rabbi Lucas in the spring. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Carrie. Vice President of Administration, Lou Bartel, would you like to give us an update?
You don't have a choice. Good evening. The same matter that I've been trying to report to you for months now continues to lag. Unfortunately, the Attorney General's office has not been responsive with regard to both houses that we're trying to transfer, leaving us no alternative but to, leaving me no alternative but to engage in motion practice with the court to ask them to order it, to order an approval of the transfer. I can't explain to you why. I have gotten what I think is a fairly lame excuse that there is apparently a very large, I forget which dog chain. What is it?
Shake-a-paw. There was an article about it.
So apparently there's a fairly significant litigation ongoing in Nassau County against Shake-a-paw, which was one of these puppy mills. And the office claims that every attorney in the Long Island Attorney General's office is in one way or another involved, and therefore it has been delayed. I have my own feeling about it. It's two letters. One is B and the other is. But nonetheless, I can't get a response. So discussed it with Michael and so forth, really have no other alternative but to submit a motion. Hopefully that can be done fairly quickly, and we'll get before a judge fairly quickly. The purchasers for 33 Circle have been ridiculously patient, notwithstanding all of the changes to the mortgage rates and so forth. But the good news is that another house came on the market around the corner that's more expensive, so that's why they're being patient, because that we've got a very fair deal. That's not the issue, but they've remained in line waiting for us. Hopefully by the time we have the next board meeting, certainly by the time we have the next congregational meeting, I'll be able to be more positive. If anybody knows anybody at the Attorney General's office, I'd welcome any input, but that's about the story. So we're revisiting, somebody mentioned, I think it was Alan, the caterer who we had given a break to last year is back to paying, or should be back to paying the full annual rent. He has not asked for any assistance yet, but he had to let us know by he would have to really do so by the end of the month. So that's only about another 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. And that's about the most pressing, pointed matters that I'm working on.
Does anybody have any questions for the Vice President of Administration? Thank you, Lou. All right, we're going to interrupt this whatever, this report for late breaking news. We have the Board of Trustees, the Nominating Committee results. From the Board of Trustees, we have Lamore Mann and Betsy Landsman, with Boaz as the alternate. And from the General Congregation, we have Michael Mann, Marilyn Jack, and Beatrice.
It's not Michael Mann.
Michael
Margulies.
Margulies, sorry, Michael. Marilyn and Beatrice, with Jeff Harwitz as our alternate.
Thank you.
Thank you all in advance for participating. Okay, now we're going to move back to reports. Rebecca, would you like to give us member engagement report? I think that's, yeah, for the reports, right?
I mean, technically, the
Quick,
finance
it's
and
late.
fundraising.
Sorry. It's so long because the VP of Community Engagement really is what used to be membership and programming, so it's really 2 reports in one, but I'll try to be quick. I don't like this thing. I'm so excited to finally be back in person. I'm happy to report that we have about 25 new member families, and they continue to join. When I wrote this yesterday, I was going to say that we got a new member as recently as January, but I'm happy to say we got a new member as recently as today. So we continue to get new members. Although these past 2 years have been a challenge, this time gave us the opportunity to reimagine how we do things. We created the TBS TU initiative, which enabled us to help our homebound and for some of our teenagers and members to create new lasting relationships. We have been delivering packages every few weeks to about 50 to 80 homebound. Just this week, we are delivering Purim packages to 56 members of our community. In January, we delivered Shabbat packages to about 80 members, and we hope to do 1 or 2 more packages for the remainder of the year. Thank you to all of our members and teenagers who have helped us to pack and deliver these bags, and thank you to Sharon Solomon and Sylvia Kogan for creating beautiful written material for each bag. Part of engaging and coming back together is our return to our in-person services and kiddushes, as Sandy mentioned. Each month, we're trying to have a Shabbat kiddush theme. In February, we had a Super Bowl kiddush, and this past Saturday, we honored our Persian community with a Shabbat and Shushan service and kiddush. On May 7th, we will have an Israeli kiddush in celebration of Yom HaAtzmaut. We also hope to have a special service and kiddush in June, honoring our healthcare heroes. Our membership committee is in full swing. I asked each member of the committee to invite someone else that they think would be a good fit for the committee, and if any of you would like to join, we'd love to have you. We delivered small gifts this past week to our new members, so I hope they enjoy those. A special shout out to Cindy Katz for assembling and delivering the gifts, and to all who help us deliver. We have also been delivering challahs to our new families and new religious school families. Please let me know if you know any prospective families or anyone new to the neighborhood. This past Sunday, we were back in person at the Purim Carnival. It was this carnival 2 years ago that was one of our last in-person events. It was a great success. Thank you to Rachel Friedman and Jill Zarin and all others who helped. We had many of our current families and several prospective families as well. Unfortunately, this year we were not able to have any Atid events. However, we look forward to coming back together for a kickoff barbecue for Atid this summer. We are also looking for some new people to take over Atid. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. Thank you to Jared Friedman, Amy Gattellinger, Dana Levine for creating and sharing Atid all these years. Sharon Solomon and I have had the pleasure of meeting with many members, both individually and through parlor meetings. We have gleaned valuable insight about the future of TBS and have been re-energized by the support and commitment of our members. Please let me know if you wish to host or attend a parlor meeting or meet with us individually. Thank you also to all who have contributed to the Rabbi Lucas Legacy Fund. Due to the generous support of about 100 members so far, we have raised almost $450,000. Our goal is to get 100% participation from our members. So if you have not yet made your commitment, please consider doing so. These funds will help us to thrive into the future and to continue to be a flagship conservative synagogue on Long Island. We hope as well to be going to Florida in a few weeks to engage our Florida members. Every few years, we have a reunion in Florida. This year, we hope to have some smaller parlor meetings in people's homes as well. You heard before from Ellen and Carolyn, who are co-chairing the Rabbi Lucas farewell events. As part of the farewell celebration, we'll be showing an e-journal with ads from our members, past members, vendors, synagogue groups, organizations, and Rabbi Lucas's family and friends. Soliciting these ads is a daunting task, and I'm reaching out to all of you for help. Please let me know if you can help solicit ads from some of the groups I mentioned. If enough of you volunteer, we will each only need to solicit a few ads. So please, I need help with this. The Social Action Committee has been very busy as well. We compiled a list of resources related to the war in Ukraine, which we shared with the congregation via Constant Contact. We'll continue to share resources and ways to help. We're also currently working on programs on the following topics: Jews of color, reproductive rights, and the 1619 Project, which deals with racial justice and the history of the African American community. We're also working on a program focused on Roe versus Wade from the Jewish perspective. We're also working with Sisterhood on a community fridge project, addressing the need arising from food insecurity in our immediate area. We're spearheading and working with the Village of East Hills and the Office of Congressman Swasley on developing a sustainable community project. I'd like to conclude by telling you about a few upcoming events. Please save the date for our Yom HaShoah commemoration on April 28th at 7 p.m. On April 25th, Frida Rothman will be speaking and selling her jewelry. Inspired by her grandparents, who are all Holocaust survivors, her jewelry honors strength and hope, and she will be here speaking and selling her jewelry, so please save the date. On May 11th, we'll be having our second annual Vendor Day. Last year, we made about $5,000 and hope to do the same. Weather permitting, I will host it again in my home. We have a great committee that's meeting on Monday on Zoom to discuss the event. Please let me know if you wish to be on the committee, or if you know anybody who likes to shop or who would like to help with this event. We're also looking for vendors, so please pass along any suggestions. If you have any ideas for engagement, membership, or recruitment, please let me know. Thank you. Any questions? Carolyn?
And the March Madness.
Oh, the brackets are up.
Evan, you want to talk about that for a minute?
We could call this the men's club report.
Oh, yes, okay. Men's Club report, Evan Wagner.
Men's Club report, okay, midget, we'll move that up. So we did a great job with the Super Bowl pool. We raised a lot of money for the temple, and now it's time for the Final Four. So an email went out today. So join up. It's $20. You can pick up to 3 brackets or 5 brackets. Five. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I know a couple people had some problems getting on, but 20 per bracket. And then half goes to the temple, and then we'll split between the top 3 people. I think it's 60, 30, 10. Whatever we take in, we'll split that with it. Let your kids do it, let your family do it, let your friends do it, everybody. It's fun. Nobody knows what they're doing. You just pick a color, pick a team, pick a number, whatever you do, and just get to the end. You're right. You can do that too.
Oh, that would be the best way to win.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, the tournament starts basically tonight. We're missing the games. Thank you, everybody. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Anybody have any questions?
Evan, will you teach me how to do it?
Yeah, very easy. It's just a bracket. Get to the end. You have to do it before Thursday at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's all.
Any questions for the Men's Club?
Or Rebecca. Or does anyone have any questions for Rebecca also, since we kind of jumped? TBS Fundraisers is Venmo, okay? Anyone have any question for Rebecca? Because I don't want to, no.
All right, how about Sisterhood, since we're doing the arms? Anybody from here, Sisterhood? No? Nothing? Okay.
Last week we had Untitled Chapter. It was the first live event that we had. We had 45 people sign up and 77 people were there. The kids had a great
Okay, the adults had a great time.
Okay.
It-
April 4th, we're planning the women's Seder rabbi will be leading.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
March 24th, don't forget to come to see Dara. I'm sorry. Her book, People Love Dead Jews.
Okay.
She's a very good speaker, even though the title puts you off.
Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. So now we're getting towards the end.
Hold the new business.
Do we have any old business?
No, it's
No. Old business? Any new business? Yes, please.
I have a question. Is there anything going on with the proposal of the use of the land?
I was trying to get everybody out a little early, but since you brought it up, what the heck? The answer is that, again, and I've mentioned this previously, our attorney, Michael Son, who has really been incredible, and through his efforts and a little bit of my own, we've brought 3 new potentially interested parties to the table who are going to be looking at the opportunity. We received the initial zoning overlay approval that we needed from the Village of East Hills, which would apply to basically any developer who took the project on at this point. And I'm going to be reaching out to a few people to get back involved and help deal with these developers and evaluate the various bids, but we're hopeful that we can get these done. There are 2 in particular who have expressed a very strong interest in moving forward on a fast track, so hopefully we'll have some written proposals that we can evaluate and move it forward. But still, the timeline is probably in the 16 to 18 months out. Anybody have any further questions about that? I'm going to be delicate here, which is what I'll say to you is I'm not sure that we want them back in. Just simply because, once bitten, twice shy. But I'm not saying never is the answer. They've been engaged. We've had conversations with them. But we're definitely going to be looking at other options as well.
Any other questions? Okay, how about some good and welfare? Well, since the last time we had met, Lou Bartel has become a grandfather.
Mazal tov.
Marilyn, don't you have a wedding coming up? Oops, I'm not supposed to say that? I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyone want to volunteer some good and welfare?
Oh, new baby for Paul.
Yes, Paul and Tina, right? Became grandparents. How many is this, Kanai Nahara? 2. Wow, very nice. Mazel tov. No other good and welfare. No college admissions, nothing exciting. Okay.
Okay, so, motion to adjourn, do I have a second? All right.
Aye.
So I'll see you all here tomorrow for Megillah reading.
Yes. Down the minutes. I move for this. Most important. Lou.
The whole time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. That was a true friend. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. Today is not a good one.
How you doing, brother?
I think it's all bad.
I could understand what was going on. Bristol is out of the situation now?
Yeah. Yes. Because
There's one